Um, I would say that they are a bit different. I believe that justice should be swift and it should be firm, and but it should also be fair. And I'm not indicating that your form of justice is not fair, and it certainly sounds swift. However, I believe that every individual should be able to defend themselves and verbally state their case in front of a jury of their peers, much like here in Deer Isle before the 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 fall. So my goal is to have to hold court. Um, if we have the citizens that are willing to serve on a jury, um, to allow for that, and if if it is much more or less a bench trial, then as a magistrate, then I would handle that and, in essence, deliver the justice as you individuals do. Um, you know, I would like to think that if you call yourself New Rome, many of your premises are based off of historical Rome, and being that was a republic in itself as well. So the whole idea of justice in court does stem from that, and it's not too alien and not too far removed. Just
I
some
see.
extra
One
bureaucratic
thing.
tape.
That is the thing. We try to eliminate bureaucracy. In fact, we do eliminate it. There is no such thing in in our in our people. Bureaucracy was something that we soon discovered was something that we hated, which does give rise to a question that we had, particularly this jury. If I am to believe from what I was answered yesterday, you mentioned correctly we do follow elements of Republican Rome. We incorporate elements of Imperial Rome too, to sort of fill the gaps. A trial, it involves prosecution, defendant, and then a jury, a magistrate, as you say, which you would preside over. So, do you preside over your own people if, say, the prosecution, say, an external faction was to come forward and say that one of your people, one of your citizens, had offended them, threatened their lives or something of similar caliber? Would it be you and people of your selection to be the jury that decide the apt fate for them, the correct form of justice?
I believe it
Or would it
is.
be people from outside factions?
That's where
So
everything falls apart, mate. Like, if you're gonna be the jury, the like everything, uh, we can't do that. We can't work like that. Like, personally, don't get me wrong. Like, I have a problem with
I'm gonna stop you
people
right
on
there,
the.
boy. That's not at all what he's saying.
Don't call me boy. Don't call me boy.
Listen here, Squirt. Everyone's a boy to me. Alright? I'm just
Um,
saying, that's not what he said.
I think maybe you should show the stag rep a little more respect.
Yeah, mate.
And I honestly think he's correct, and I think you misunderstand
You
how
can be.
situated some
You
of these
can.
patriots are.
Oh,
So.
hold on. I asked a question and we did not even give Hubbard here a chance to
uh,
answer.
yes, so inside of the borders of, in this case, Duskar, and the Republic of Duskar or Deer Isle, whichever you prefer to call it at the time, would have jurisdiction over the crimes committed here. Our citizens, if they were to commit a crime, for example, and I don't know, I'll just use Stonington as an example. I have no jurisdiction over them there. Therefore, I I I can't force laws in in borders that are not my own. I believe that is what you're asking. But if for crimes that are committed within Duskar or her borders, then it is our laws will be published. They would be available to anyone that would like to know them. and they would be expected, just as I'm assume that you expect a New Rome, to be followed. And if they cannot be followed, then they will be prosecuted at the fullest extent. However, we will provide, or they can provide their own advocate to advocate for them in court. There is no, at the end of the day, we are all just trying to survive in a world that's not what it once was. And I just don't feel that there is any definitive answer other than we must be open to more or less looking into ourselves when something does not work, as you were saying, Winston, and being able and willing to change or adapt to ways that make more sense, that accommodate more, but as well as serve the purpose and the vision of, in this case, a Duskar.
That makes sense.
Again,
I understand now.
it's what we're all wanting is some sort of order, some sort of balance, some sort of just normalcy in a world that's no longer normal. And I just we want to be able to lay our heads down at night safely. I'm no fool. I won't call anything a pursuit of peace. I don't think that is possible. But I will say that I hope that there are more days of peace than there are of violence. That's all I can offer those that choose to call Duskar their home when they choose so.
I see. Forgive me, of course you can ask questions to us as well. It's more so interesting to us. We've been around Sanctum, myself, Tyler, our faction. We've been around for pushing onwards of a year. Our settlement pushing onwards, I think, about 4 or 5 months. So it's interesting to us to see people that are creating settlements of under a different style of leadership. Which, speaking of leadership, the old man here, he made it clear to me that he was not a leader. He was not the leader of the Republic, nor such. I wonder how you've spoken about peers choosing a leader.
Sure.
Forgive me if my opinion is harsh, but I find that a lot of people lack the ability to critically think, nor do they have the capacity to really set aside emotion. Not to say that emotion isn't important in decision making, but sometimes it's necessary to prioritize logic over feelings. I wonder how do your people choose their leaders? For us, we choose whoever has the most experience, who has a balance of strength and intelligence. See, although we are shifting more towards, let's call it imperialistic structure, Tyler is the smartest man that I know. It's why he's one of the leaders. I seem to have an aptitude for conflict. It's why I'm one of the other leaders. And then Minerva and Venata here, they have demonstrated both strength and leadership capacities and tactics and such. It's why they are in their positions. We choose our leaders based on who is most fit for it. It's a decision made by myself and Tyler. I wonder, how do your people choose theirs? A voting system?
So it is a democratic election type system. They would vote. There is a desire, an experiment, if you will, to allow those that are citizens of this republic to choose who they wish to represent them. Now that would be a council of 3, a tribunal of 3, however you prefer to call it. And there are things that are larger than I. There are things that are larger than the old man. And that is what we believe to be representation. We want everyone, as you said, not everyone is capable of always providing the most sincere or quality thought. However, everyone does deserve a seat and a voice at the table, in my humble opinion, um, on the direction that the village that they choose to live in goes. I can't speak for every person, but if I am chosen to continue representing them, then they are trusting me to speak for them. And that is ultimately an experiment in democracy that has failed in the past. It has been successful in some cases, just as you're aware that your style has failed in the past. It is the heart of the people that are chosen or selected to be leaders that depends on the success of that venture.
I see. I wonder, what if, for example, there were a group of settlers from the same group, right? They knew each other, they've known each other for the past 4 years. And they all enter the settlement, and then they all communicate amongst themselves about electing one of their own as a leader. And what if their goals were more sinister than not? How would you, what would be the case then?
There's checks and there's balances. There's a judicial system that, in a full fleshed out constitution, that will, in hope, counteract nefarious or undermining or even downright insurrection style attempts. For the time being, in its infancy, the council will exist of one permanent member and then 2 voted members at different periods in time. And for that time, as long as I draw breath, I would be that permanent member so that the vision and the mission of the Republic can be spoken for.
Okay.
Majority does rule, and I'm just one vote, but that is where my faith in a judicial system, as well as the normal human spirit, for what's left of it, will do the right thing. You can call me naive. You can think that it is a pie in the sky type dream, but it's what I believe in. It's what I stand for, and that is that every individual, even if their views are not the same as mine, should be able to have that representation, should be able to pursue the goals that they wish. Now, again, as I say, the Constitution will allow for insurrectionists to be exiled, to use one of your words, from the community as well.
Okay. And
So
I guess,
more or less,
oh, please.
no, more or less, there are ways to deal with the exact same thing that you are mentioning, and the exact scenario that you are mentioning. However, that would be more or less a nuclear option.
Okay, and I guess final sort of question. We hear that you have invited other tribes or forgive me, communities, factions, in the local vicinity. You've sent treaties. Similar to us, we did the same. We don't really. People seem to get a wrong idea. They think that we conquer. But every territory that we've claimed, or every faction which has vowed allegiance for us, they've actually done so out of their own volition. There is a region, a very beautiful region to the north, north of Waldoboro, the Shinto Shrine. I'm unsure if you're familiar with it. It's a testament to architecture in the Japanese style, and they asked to have our banner fly there, and so they live under our law. They live under our protection, and so forth. And there was another community, unfortunately, they dissipated and joined into Alta as their members slowly withered away. A group called Idle Hollow, they were in our infancy too. writing a book of lore with us about the region that we wish to stabilize. But on the topic of settlements, there was a situation recently where a profligate of Rome, a man who'd threatened the lives of some of my people, had retreated and joined another settlement in the south. In fact, I see the armband of the ULF here. He lived there, a man known as Strand. And we discovered this, and Jack, his leader, he allowed us to reclaim this Strand. Unfortunately, Jack's people lied to him and attempted to cover the man up, the profligate, but eventually all came clear. I know that you said earlier you don't enforce law outside of your jurisdiction. I wonder if someone, someone threatened your town and then went to live in another, what would your course of action be?
My course of action would be very simple: to reach out and speak to the representatives of that faction or that settlement and work out some sort of extradition type policy or concern. However, I would hope, as with any situation, as I would ask those that may ask the same of me, that there be evidence presented of malice and violence, threat, so that we are not just, that we're just not acting. And again, these are my words. They are not indicating something that I believe that you've done or anything like that. It's just my hopes are there would be evidence presented by me or by those asking the same of me for the extradition of that individual. If evidence doesn't line up, or if it doesn't meet the moral code or the mission and vision of the Republic, then I can't promise that I'd be able to provide an extradition. And I would assume that for any established community or settlement, to protect those within itself, unless there is evidence of the contrary, because no one wants a snake living in their garden.
No. Well, gratitude for answering my questions. I wonder if there's any questions that I could answer for you.
I am I'm just a vessel for democracy. I'm not here to undermine or question what others do. So I've heard great things about Sanctum. I've heard stories of that. Some people feel that you're putting your boot on their throats in a way, and that is not a perception that I can gather from other individuals. It's only one that I can experience myself. And you're making the journey over here to introduce yourself and ask the questions for clarification is act of good faith, in my opinion, for possibly trade and working together in the future. I again, the infancy of Duskar is it's barely an embryo. And as Winston pointed out earlier, seems to be the thought of a curse on the village. And you know, I've lived in Threepwood years ago, and I've seen how bustling this area has been, and I've seen how it can fall very quickly. So it is my hope to build something that not only I can be proud of, but the citizens of this place can be proud of, and that together we can fight back the menaces, the viruses, the leeches, and the other undesirables that exist on this island.
Well,
Good
if I
old-
can, I got a question. Yeah, I got a question actually. Just so I'm aware, that way I guess as Hubbard put it, our laws and ways don't interfere with yours. What is your territories? And we're rough. No, not territories. That's unfair. I would say, what is the border you wish for us to respect?
Well, I guess perhaps territory is a strange word for me to use. Obviously, the Valley of Rome, the valley that the Roman village sits in, um, it stretches. It's known as Bear Valley or Deer Valley to some. We do claim that region as our own. Um, so I guess at the lick of the Corinthian boots, that is where our territory ends. The Shinto temple north near Waldoboro, that is another part of our region. Um, However, in the spirit of congruence, we I mainly ask questions because we have a very solid people. They get this wrong idea about us. They think we don't want settlements to bloom. It's completely opposite. We want more settlements. We want to be able to trade with more people. That's pretty much. I'm glad that you raised the point of trade because that's our point. Our entire point is we want nails to be flying around the island. It is a sub-objective to get metal, precious metals, metals which have a use to both company and in crafting purposes. It's our objective to get that more popularized. Uh, but in any case, our objective is to see civilization rise. And I will be completely transparent with you. I do not think that democracy is a good way at seeing democracy or civilization even, forgive me. We do not feel it is apt. We pinpoint democracy to be the point that the Isle and, well, the entire world, we see that as what led to the destruction, to the fall. Bureaucracy, democracy, any other ocracy, I suppose. We, when you say our border, I appreciate that you respect the valley as our border and the Shinto temple. It's very easy not to. We live quite far out from any town. It's very easy not to offend. Most people have to deliberately go there. However, as you say, you don't have. You don't have. You say that you don't have jurisdiction over people that live outside your town. If someone has offended us, there is no hesitation for us to go into someone else's territory or town and reclaim what is rightfully ours. Our view is if someone has offended us and they have broken what we consider our law whilst living within our border, if they went into the Valley of Rome and they threatened one of us or they threatened us over radio, it matters not to us what town they live in. We'd go and find them, and that is our procedure.
Well, with that respect, serious, and I do mean with that respect. Would you afford that same opportunity for anyone in your borders that has offended me, for example, or for the Republic, for me to just waltz into your borders and say, I am taking this person out because they have blasphemed my way of life or my government or my people, and to drag them out by the hair of their scalp. I would think, and I would not blame you for having an extreme problem with that.
No, you're right. We would have a problem with that. See, if someone's stronger than us and they can do that, then yes. There's nothing we could do to stop it physically. But if someone came and tried to do that whilst we were there, we would stop them. The difference is, and like I say, in the spirit of transparency, if someone is weaker than us, or if they're even on the same level of us strength-wise, military-wise, in such regard, if they came and tried to do that, it would be war for us. If the person was a criminal, if they'd done something completely stupid, it's not our objective to start wars. If someone came to us and they said, look, this person came and threatened us, we would throw them out of town. Such is the case of a former citizen known as Lenny. He threatened. He didn't threaten. He insulted a powerful business partner, the Riders of Portland, a motorcycle club. He insulted them in front of us, and we told him right there and there that he had to move out. In insulting them, he nearly jeopardized our entire businesses. So we could not let something pass. To answer your question, it could be seen as hypocritical. If someone had broken our law, or they had tried to hurt us, we would go and, to the best of our ability, do what we can to punish them. We would not blame another person for trying to do that exact same to us. However, we would not merely let it happen. If they approached us and they said, your citizen did this and that, I think there's not been a single time where someone has done that and we haven't acted upon it quite severely.
I think that is we're on the same wavelength there. Again, if there is a person that is harboring here in Duskar that has offended or acted with malice in their hearts toward your people or your way of life, then I would ask that be your first approach, conversation, to turn over those individuals. Where at that point, my goal would be to go to the council and determine whether or not that extradition, that handing over of that individual or casting them out into the wilds, no longer knowing their name, essentially, would be a part of it. Would be a part of the discussion, and then the council would decide whether or not to remove that person from our borders. As far as your opinions of democracy, I can only respect your opinions, and I can understand where you may have those viewpoints. However, the situation that we are in now, and I can't blame a democracy on that. I can blame the corporations for their greed and those types of things, for the downfall of all of humanity, essentially. But they're also a necessary evil. So I believe that is where you and I will have to agree to disagree, rather, about government and the best way that it acts. I think as long as a government is doing what is right and best for the citizens for which it represents or that it oversees, then there is nothing that can be argued about it. How we get to taking care of the people that we have charge for or that we have responsibility for is what separates us. That is all.
That I can respect. Well, I wonder if any of my people have any remaining things to say before we depart.
I do feel like it's worth mentioning that we didn't just waltz into Elk Ridge and take Strand. We walked in and we spoke with Jack and we asked him how he would feel if we went in and we got Strand and asked him questions and talked to him. And I don't even think Jack said a word. I think he stepped aside.
Yeah, he went like this. He just merely
Exactly.
made the path for us.
And I can't speak for another individual. I wasn't there. I can't speak for another individual, but
That's the problem.
I would have to.
Problem.
There would have to be a conversation. I would, especially if it was an unannounced visit. So you guys are you have the ability to be incredibly intimidating in numbers and in just presence, correct? So if you were to just waltz in like that, I could understand a man of a weaker conviction just stepping aside. However, there would definitely
No,
Hold
there's
on.
a mutual respect in
Yeah, there's a
the
mutual
conversation we had with
respect there.
Jack. We didn't intimidate him.
You just said that he said no words, therefore it was not a conversation.
Look,
I think
as-
that you don't know the relationship that we have with Jack. Jack is a good friend of Rome.
I'm not trying to
And
assume the relationship you have with Jack. I'm
there was
pointing
no
out that you
intimidation.
said there was a conversation, yet no words were spoken.
There didn't need to be words spoken because he stepped to the side and let us do our business like we had asked it'd be okay to do. He didn't need
And
to
I,
say anything because actions speak louder than words.
That's fair. But the point
So-
is, as Hubbard pointed out, he can't speak for another man. And yet Jack spoke for another man.
no disrespect, old man. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I can't speak for Jack, right? I can only speak for what I would do in that circumstance. We would have to sit
Why
down and we'd have to
interpreted.
talk. Yes, that is. We have to have a conversation, and it would be both ways. The odds are it may have been the same outcome if that mutual respect was there, Minerva, as you mentioned. And I think that there, the key to getting anything isn't always brawn, and I'm not saying that that's your case, but it isn't always brawn and might. It is conversation,
Correct.
and where it may slow down the process. At times, being able to breathe and being able to slow down might be the best for everyone involved.
Correct.
So that's
If I may,
just
Sirius, as one that's been on the forefront of Rome, coming to their doorstep and asking for someone who's wronged them, I had to almost give up. Well, I tried to stop my sister from being taken by Rome. They do come and ask and talk with you. They do follow the procedures, but at the end of the day, it was either hand her over or war was going to be happening. So
So there's no
Yeah.
saying no, and there's no real choice.
there is a
Well,
choice. Yes.
when someone walks into your town and threatens somebody at their
Pretty sure you
doorstep,
said no.
I'm
I did
kind
say
of wondering
no.
how you would actually handle that in the moment.
And I'm
I don't
alive.
think you're dead, are you?
No.
I'm sorry.
Especially
There's
when-
tons of. I apologize, Minerva. I'm
Good
giving you my
work,
full
Hunter.
attention.
When
Would you
someone
start over,
walks
please?
into your town and 3 feet from their own front door is threatened by that person who walks in, are you just gonna let them leave?
No, absolutely not. They would be arrested by our guard, and then there would be a trial. And again, I'm not faulting
So,
anything.
and that trial will be held by who exactly?
If it is within these borders, then it is held by the court of the Republic, and then it can be represented by an advocate from outside, as long as they understand the laws, and it can, or by someone that is appointed by the council.
So my question is here, like, if someone comes to me and one of my brothers, and they be disrespectful or they act on us, my plans is to be, I'm gonna be the judge, the jury, and the executioner on him. No questions asked.
Okay.
I don't understand why. What's the point of the republic? To be honest, I have no problem with power, but I don't see the point. Like everyone for years on this isle, we have many people before me and you, Rome, and you. They have been uh, using the old justice system. Like they have been doing things on their own. Like the same way that New Rome handled in the past the situation that Hunter here described. Many people in the past they have been doing the same exact thing.
Okay.
I don't understand why in the aisle the how did you call the Congress or whatever should be needed.
So I appreciate your candor.
May I
I'm not-
answer this question?
No, I don't have no. I'm not against to the whole constitution thing. I'm actually full up for it. I don't see any good reason.
Right,
So-
Hubbard. May I
So
answer
what you
this
do
question?
in your own backyard is your own business. What happens in the borders of Duska or the Republic is the business of the Republic of Duscar. So how we choose to handle crime and punishment here is not going to be the same as what you, with no disrespect to you, is very savage, and is not a ideal or an idea of the Republic. So if you want to call this an experiment, it's an experiment in what has not been happening, attempting to try something different. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but what it does mean is I'm going to at least try it. Again, your backyard is your backyard. You can wipe your ass with my constitution if that is your prerogative. However, when you're here in our borders, it would be advised not to do that.
Well, as they said as well about the case about Strand, like they went to Elk Ridge, they speak with the leader, and everything has been worked out since after that. That's
So
how everyone.
I don't want to speak for Sirius, but I believe that he and I are on the same page. That as long as there's communication, then there is nothing. There's no issue. I don't know what your qualm is, Winston.
Correct. It seems, perhaps, I know there was a few people commenting on it. Let me lay out, like, the basic procedure of what happened. So we went to the ULF, we spoke with Jack, we spoke about Strand, and then we asked him, what would his response be, what would his course of action be, to quote, if we wanted to take Strand with us. And that's when he did the motion of stepping aside for us. There was conversation, and then he displayed, instead of saying I'll do nothing, go ahead, he simply did that in action. And then that's when we took Strand. So there was communication, and Jack, the thing I said to the old man yesterday is, old man has my respect, because the topic of our conversation yesterday was to ask if we would be acting against the cannibals and the cultists in Wendigo Ridge. And because old man is someone I respect, the fact that it speaks volumes to me that someone other than the leader of said faction, someone other than them came to speak to me. So for us, it's all like a respect thing. So far, you've been, I would describe you as eloquent, and you've communicated your point rather clearly. That's something we respect. We've been able to discuss our differences. We don't see democracy as the optimal form of leadership. You do, but at the end of the day, we live thousands of meters to the south. So at the end of the day, what does your style of civilization really impact ours? The point of our conversation was, obviously, we'd spoken to old man here. He'd told us of your republic. Our interest in settlements is vast, and like you said about trade, it's something that we take great interest in. So yeah, we're on the same page. If Jack had said no, I can't quite tell you what our course of action would be, because we do prioritize, although Jack is a man we respect greatly, and we hold him in probably the highest regard that we possibly can for someone outside our own ranks. The fact is, if someone threatened Minerva or Venata here, then I place the priorities of my people over the feelings and, quite frankly, the rules of other people's settlements. But of course, there is, like you say, communication beforehand. So yes, I believe now that everything's in the clear, I do believe we are on the same page in that regard. I don't wish to say that I think we've been very respectful to every settlement that we've gone to. We've been to, well, we were, when Winston used to live here a long time ago, when Duscar fell, I think it was the second or third time Duscar had fell. We were respectful. There was a settlement for that ran by, was it Joel?
It was Gunner with Joel and Sav.
We were respectful then. We don't go into towns just to, try and throw our weight around. We are strong, right? But like you say, the conversation's important. It's boring to just be strong. That's when you get called a bully. So I just want to make that clear. Our point wasn't to come here and try try flex or anything. It was more so we're interested. You know, it's always interesting when there's a new trader or a new settlement starting up. It's something new. I just
I've
wanted to
been,
clarify that.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get over to New Rome and check out your furniture store, but it doesn't ever seem to be open when I call out. So, yeah. So I respect your delegation here. I respect and I appreciate it. I appreciate the introductions. I appreciate the respect and the mutual understanding that we are independent people, essentially trying to achieve the same goals, just again, different ways of getting that to that end result. I don't think I would. I'm not under the illusion that we will always agree, and I'm not under the illusion that we will always disagree. I believe that in those times that we agree and that we are on the same page as we've been saying, then there are opportunities for everyone to prosper from that agreement. And in the times that we may not be on the same page, I'm sure that there will be tense, there will be possible discourse and need for even more communication. I'm not very quick to anger, and I like to hear people out. So that is all I ever ask is before acting, let's speak.
Well, unless any of my people had anything to say, we should probably be on our way. Seems we've spoken from the night till the dawn.
Yes, it was a good conversation, nevertheless.
Indeed. Tyler,
Yeah.
anything?
No, I respect that. You know, unless it's something that we just can't speak to you about, we'll always come to you first as a leader of a settlement if we have problems with your people, as we did with Jack. Um, unless we just wholeheartedly think that you're just going to straight up cover for them, and then if you're going to stand behind them, then you're just as guilty in our eyes. You know, if you're going to protect them and shelter them. Other than that, we'll come to you first and try to get your input on it and tell you what they've done to us. As you probably, most likely, might even not even know, as Jack didn't know. So,
That is fair.
In this case, then, we shall bid you wale and bid you good luck with Duska, your republic.
Thank you. Safe journeys.
Wale.